All right, the meeting will come to order. This is the work session of the River Edge Mayor and Council for Monday, May 7, 2012. The time is now about 7:05 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending notices on December 23, 2011 to the Record and the Ridgewood News, positioning on the bulletin board in the lobby, and filing a notice of the same with the municipal clerk. We'd like to remind the public that there are 3 exits in the room, that everything is being recorded so that we can have an accurate record of the meeting. Everything is also being videotaped. If you want to be heard as well as seen, you have to come forward to the microphone so that the camera can pick you up. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Quartz? Councilman Porco?
Here.
Councilman Legnone? Councilman Bartoloni?
Here.
Councilman Papaleo?
Here.
And Mayor Mascaritolo?
Here. Okay. Is Bobby here?
I will get it.
I can get it.
Thank you.
Would you please pass this, Johnny?
While we're waiting for
It's going down.
Alan, let's cover the work session consent agenda. There are 2 items. One is a resolution approving the renewal of the interlocal agreement between River Edge and the Northwest Central Dispatch. Just go back to Alan.
That goes back.
Okay. The second is a resolution for an agreement with our borough engineer, Robert Costa, for professional services. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, thank you. That's done. Alan, while we're waiting for Bobby, do you want to do the...
She's here.
Oh, she's here?
Just
All right.
met her upstairs.
Come on up, Bobby.
Aye,
3 items on for discussion. Number 1 is a special events committee. We have Bobby Conway, our rec director, here. We also have some suggestions that we received from Councilman Bartoloni. Go ahead. You want to pass that out? Maybe we can come to a meeting of the minds for the Special Events Committee. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so the proposed, we really can't take credit, no one can really take credit for coming up with a special events committee because other towns have them. Alphonse and I were speaking simultaneously, I think, at the Volunteer Day, and we saw that there's a need for a special events committee. Right now, if an event is not handled by rec, the only other committee we have is the 4th of July committee, which is why there's a proposal now to rename the 4th of July committee as a special events committee and to expand it for other events that we have in town, such as our Volunteer Day, our concert, the Welcome Back Day, River Edge Day, other days such as the Memorial Day Parade, the Veterans Day Parade, other events. So, Bobby, you had some suggestions for the Special Events Committee?
I did, and they basically are listed here as a proposal. And as you had said, the events, but starting out with the Volunteer Day, and as you said, the 4th of July, which is already intact. The Welcome Back Summer Inn. Last year we had the concert in the park the Friday after school started and was very successful. I think everyone enjoyed that. And then River Edge Day has become larger every year. And so that includes community, business, school, and vendors, so it's getting larger. future, we're not sure where the parades are going. Memorial Day and Veterans Day are handled by Joe, Jerry, all by himself. So that's a possibility. I put down suggested members that would cover the community. My first suggestion was a Riverdale High School student, to get that age group involved. A River Edge School District teacher who is a resident, to get that person and that school district involved. 3 to 5 residents who have a age bracket of 30 to 50 with children. There are quite a few people in town who are active and would like to get involved, but don't know how, and it's basically just asking. There's so many people that would help out. And again, that age group and also those with children. A senior representative. There's quite a few seniors that are very active and I'm sure would like to get involved. I put myself down there because most of these events are in the park, and then a council liaison, like we do to the other committees and commissions. I put these people down because we need new blood, we need new ideas. And I think from taking from existing clubs, commissions, committees, those clubs, committees, and commissions are focused on their own activities, their own fundraising, and so this way we get new ideas. The funds, if collected from any of these events, to go into the recreation dedicated account, which is a trust fund. Right now there is a special events line already for River Edge Day. There is already a 4th of July line in the rec dedicated trust account. So any funds collected for any reason from these events can come in and go out. I just wanted to clarify that the Recreation Commission does sponsor the River Edge Run, have always sponsored the Easter egg hunt, the Halloween parade, and the holiday lighting ceremony, which also are special events. So that's my suggestion.
Okay. Any comments or questions from council? Al?
No, I passed around a proposed ordinance that I've drafted in connection with this and my thoughts. I mean, the Memorial Day Parade and the Veterans Day certainly could be added. Specifically what I was thinking, and I listed some of the events here, the 4th of July, the River Edge Day, Volunteer Appreciation Day. We talked about the turkey trot, and also what I'd like to see in the spring would be some type of festival on Continental. It's called the Spring Swing Night. I've seen it in other towns where you have something in the spring and people come out and there's music and whatnot, and you close the street off. Other towns, they do it on their main avenue. That's not practical for us, but I think this is necessary and welcome. The suggested members are great. I don't know that I would break it down that way, and I don't think you can specifically direct various ages and children. I don't know if that would be legal to say you have to, we have to have a member who's between this age and with children. But certainly, considerations that you could have in selecting members. I was thinking of at least 12 members, 12 to 15 members, with 2 council members and the recreation director being standing members of the special events committee, and then the rest to be appointed. And I think this is something that would be a benefit to the entire community to have. So that's it.
Johnny?
Just about in your thing here, 4th of July would then become part of the special events?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was just mine. Okay.
So you think this is a good idea, special events?
Oh, I do.
Because I know last week you were saying that it was government interference taking over. So it seems like if you're on board with it, it is a good idea.
I think it's a very good idea. And you said the 12 to 15 people. I'd keep it as non-political as possible in terms of appointments, because there are a lot of people out there that would really like to help out. And, if you reach out to these people, I have a neighbor who has 3 children. He's always there if I need him. I know this is just a suggestion of one person. I know one of the gals we just hired in the finance department just moved into town, and she was thrilled to hear about this committee, and she wants to help out. She came to me and asked about it because she saw it in the minutes. So there are a lot of really active people that want to get involved in the community, and I think we need new blood, to do that, and to bring in new ideas and energy.
Now, my question for Sam is, Sam, our 4th of July committee, that's just a regular standing committee? We don't have an ordinance for the 4th of July committee, do we?
No.
So, I don't see, if we were going to make this special events committee just a standing committee, all we would need is a resolution.
Yeah.
The only thing we'd have to change is that since it's a standing committee, would be, I think you have in your proposal, 2-year membership.
Yes.
So on a standing committee, it would just be 1 year.
1 year.
But everybody would probably get reappointed again anyway, just like
I mean, if you want
our
to do it by...
standing committees are now.
I mean, we have ordinances for all our other committees, so that's why I proposed it that way.
What do you think, Sam? I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you think we need an ordinance, or can we do this just by resolution?
I definitely think you can do it by resolution, okay? I think it's basically a call of the governing body as to whether they prefer to adopt an ordinance. So, I mean, if the consensus is to do an ordinance, there's nothing wrong with doing an ordinance. You can obviously do it by resolution, too.
Mayor, the council may want to try it by resolution for a year.
Right.
If you feel it works and doesn't need to be modified, then you could go to an ordinance to establish it in a more permanent fashion. But this would give you a probationary period to see whether you want to add or subtract or change things. And it would be rather easy to do with just another subsequent resolution rather than going through an ordinance process.
Okay.
Can we make a motion to do that tonight?
Do you want to make a motion by resolution?
Yes.
For a special events committee?
Could I have a clarifying point? I've had my hand up for a while.
Sorry, I didn't see you there, Tom. Sorry.
Just clarifying, Bobby, what you're suggesting is that the River Edge Run, the Easter egg hunt, the Halloween parade, and the holiday lighting remain outside of the committees. Is that what I understand?
Yes,
Why all of these? I was just curious.
we've done these for 25 years.
Yes.
30 years. And it's a recreation-sponsored event that we've been handling for all these years. And I don't see any reason for the special events committee to
take that
it
over.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to have that clarified.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Johnny?
The only other point I would like to know is, the people that are on 4th of July now, what would happen to them? Do they roll over
I guess
into?
they just
or-
get moved over to the special events.
For now,
We
and I just
actually
wanna-
don't have appointed people. I advertise for people to
It's open to the
attend,
public.
and the only ones that have been appointed are Alphonse, Kathleen, and myself.
You're the committee?
We are
Yep.
the committee, and last time we met, we were the only ones that showed up.
Don't complain.
So having the additional people would be nice, but yes, we are the committee.
All right, thank you.
But I would agree with Alphonse with, it would be hard to say about the, age with the kids and everything. I think that that's a little too restrictive. The likelihood that you'll find those people are good, but to put it down is probably not.
All right, that's just a suggestion.
Just a proposal.
Yeah.
No, it's a consideration, but it can't, be your only consideration, I would
So
say.
I'd like to make a motion to get this done tonight.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Let's have a roll call.
Just a
Go ahead.
point of clarification.
Discussion.
What, terms and conditions of this committee in terms of membership, what are we, what are we putting forth?
Well,
Simply to have a resolution on the agenda that we can later adopt?
no,
or-
there's a motion and a second to have a standing committee called the Special Events Committee, members to be appointed, to be nominated by the mayor with the consent and approval of council. You guys can suggest anybody you want, and I'll nominate them, and we'll fill the committee as soon as possible.
And how many people are we?
15, not to exceed 15.
Right now, under Bobby's suggestion, there's 1, 2, 5 is 8, 9, 10, 11. Under Bobby's suggested members, there's 11.
I mean, if you want to do a more formal resolution, you could incorporate some of some of the provisions of his ordinance. He spells out,
Uh-huh.
responsibilities and powers, and
Okay.
it's up to you. But I think that way you could flesh it out a little bit
Yep.
more if you want, and I think that way you'd have something with a little more substance.
Mhm.
And
All right, so you want to just make a motion to put it on for a formal resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Sounds
right.
good. So we need to withdraw this?
No, there's
No, we're gonna take a roll call.
Take a roll call.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Porco?
Yes.
Councilman Bottomoli?
Yes.
And Councilman Caballero?
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Okay. Some other items. Alan, do you want to do the HVAC? Or do you want to go to the other two issues for discussion?
The HVAC can go very quickly, I think.
Go ahead.
Mayor, we had a presentation by YMP Consulting Engineering Company with regard to the HVAC system in Borough Hall. They presented 4 options. They're recommending, I believe, what they call the pump system, the VRF heat pump system, as opposed to the 2-pipe and 4-pipe systems. A request was made for annual maintenance cost information, which was distributed to the mayor and council. We also received a proposal from the same consulting firm to do design work through construction management. So I would ask the council whether you're prepared to select one of the systems that they've recommended, and would you consider awarding a contract to them at the next meeting for design and construction management work.
All right, the floor is open for discussion.
I believe it was number 4 that was,
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't get the...
My only question I have is that there was a request from from Mr. Lynch to see a copy of the proposal.
He was giving it to him that night. We gave him a copy that night.
He received a copy?
Mhm.
All right.
I would want his weighing on this, yeah. I'd want to
Okay.
see, since he's the one maintaining it, and I didn't get a chance to see the maintenance costs. So if he could come in and just see what he thinks of the maintenance, and if he's going to be able to do it, and all that stuff before we award the bid.
All right, let's do this then. If Mr. Lynch doesn't have to appear, but at least we should get a memo from him
Mhm.
as to whether he or not he recommends this VRF pump system, since he's going to have to maintain it.
Mhm.
And if we can get that before in our box before the next meeting, then we can take formal action.
Very good.
All right? Next is the generator ordinance.
I would ask Sam Suresti, the Borough Attorney, to speak on that. I believe we have a draft which has been given to the mayor and council for preliminary review.
Yeah, what I did in this particular instance, I think I think one of the more critical elements of these ordinances is the placement. In terms of whether you're going to put it in your rear yard or side yard. I know, like, for example, Alpine, which has, like a 2-acre minimum requirement, requires you to place your generators in the rear yard. I think in our community, since we have very small lots with widths averaging between 50 and 75 feet, I think it becomes more critical because you can have very short distances between adjoining buildings. And so basically, I haven't ruled out the ability to do it in a side yard, except if the buildings are very close together. A lot of these generators will run 24/7. They're very noisy. If you do have an emergency, we made provision for that. But I think basically, the probably most critical element is probably location. We also have decibel levels at 66. I reviewed that with Mark Skirvitz, and I went over that with Mark. Mark also felt that there should be a suspension of noise decibels during a declared emergency, which would be one that would be made by the mayor. So if you have a declared emergency, then we would suspend the decibel levels. I mean, that's going to happen, especially with gasoline generators. They'll probably exceed the decibel level if someone's got a gasoline generator. They still should be kept 15 feet, I think, from someone's building, in an effort not to, maintain some level of control.
All right. Al and I mentioned this to Ed in the Personnel Subcommittee. He had specific questions for you, Sam.
Okay.
On different sections of the proposed ordinance and the setback requirements and the decibel level, and whether or not it should be changed or modified. So I'm sure that we'd like his input so that we can, I think we should either
I can reach out for him also.
reach out for it.
Ed.
We can continue our discussion at the next meeting when Ed is here again. The only real question I had is that, can I declare an emergency when I want to put on my generator?
Yes, you can.
Gray area.
There we go.
Is there a reason that this came up? Was there a complaint
They
or
had
something?
100 and, I think there's been about 120 permits for generators so far, and they seem to be growing. So I think you have to have some regulation. Most municipalities are in the process of drafting generator ordinances because they've been so abundant, and the shortages and the outages have been more prevalent. And I think that's been the motivating reason. So rather than just have these things placed anywhere, you may put this under someone's window. I mean, literally. I mean, and I think that would be unfair to your, to your property owner, adjoining property owner. The whole idea here is at least to develop at least a certain decibel level, so for manufacturers, decibel level for these generators, and also I think placement is critical.
Yeah, I mean, because on the one, like, I'm just thinking about my house, my garage, because I just got one too. And my garage is on the side that's closest to my neighbor, so it's 5 feet from the end of my property. And then they're 5 feet on theirs, so that's 10. So I guess I have to make sure and put it all the way buried in the side. But it's very difficult if you're on that short side to get 15 feet from your neighbor who's also on the
But
shortest.
it's not 15 from the property line, it's 15 from the building.
Yeah, but if he's
Building
5 and
building.
5, now I gotta make sure I'm more than 5 feet away from the
Well,
property,
normally
or the
you
garage.
would need a minimum of 7, I think it's 7.5 feet for one side yard under the ordinance, but we have a lot of non-conforming residences, so
Yeah,
maybe
they
the better
used to be
fit
5.
would be a rear yard.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they want to rule out the ability to put them in the rear yard. Most people would put them on the side.
Also, if you could put it in the rear, you're okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what we provide, so it can be put in the rear yard. So if you cannot meet the 15 foot, you've got two choices. One, I guess you could apply for a variance to put it in your side yard, even though it's less than 15 feet from your adjoining
Now,
building.
are these also for the ones that are mobile? You can move them anywhere? This is for all generators,
It
or is
includes,
this
well, we
just-
have a provision also for temporary generators too. Unless it's a declared emergency, you should comply.
Okay. Got it.
My concern with it is our grid is wacky in River Edge. My neighbor will have power, I won't have power, the way it's set up. And we've had small areas of town without power for extended period of time, and that may not be a town-wide emergency, because it's not the entire town, it's only sections of the town. So I don't know if you'd be exempted from that, but let's say there's a couple blocks that are without power for an extended period of time, and they're running a gas generator, but it's not an emergency for the town, but it is for that specific area. Are you going to be, are people going to come out with, measuring the decibel levels because, you have this specific area of town that's
Well,
without
it's something
power?
you may want to consider, whether you want to suspend the decibel level if there's an outage for a certain period of time. What Mark had felt is that he felt to tie it into a declared emergency. We don't have that many declared emergencies. I was just talking to Alan to get an idea how many declared emergencies we've had over the years. So we generally don't have it. Something to give weight to, so you'd have to really think through that because it's going to affect neighbors as more of these generators are bought. You already had 120 in the past year or two, so we could see that they're becoming much more prevalent because people are experiencing a lot of outages.
I think Al's point is important now because
Don't you share your generator with a neighbor?
my neighbor actually bought 2 generators, and back in Halloween said, Tom, take my second generator.
Is this a gasoline generator?
Yeah, and we put it in the backyard.
Okay.
But the one block over from us had power restored within 2 days. We didn't have power restored until 7 days, and we were using the power for the sump pump and for the furnace. So I think Al's point's a good point. I can say from my own experience and from people on my block of Manning and several other blocks where I knew they were without power for a prolonged period of time, because our grid is kind of odd, that so declared emergency would really be, I think, an unfair burden upon members of our town. I think outage is a fairer way. If PSE&G is saying there's an outage, then people should have some sort of recourse to maintain their refrigerators or some pumps.
I don't think it denies the ability to use the generator. I think it's probably more the placement.
I think it's the length of time. I think you said,
Yeah.
and the decimal. Because I read the memo you
Yeah,
sent.
yeah, it says decibel, and you're right, it does say that.
All right.
I don't even know. I don't know if they would call it an outage if somebody hits a power line and your block goes out. I don't know if PSE&G would call that an outage, but I still think even that, somebody should be able to turn on a generator. I mean, no matter what it is, if you're out of power, you should be able to turn on your generator. That's what you have it for. So, I mean, I didn't even... I hear them all the time when power goes out. It's an outage, there's something going on, I have no problem with it. I didn't know that people were upset about it, but I just think I could understand having some maybe guidelines if people are upset about it and the, rear yard and all that stuff, but you should be able to turn it on whenever you have an outage.
Well, I think you ought to give some thought as to where you want to put them.
I got no problem with I honestly, it's hard for me because I don't have a problem with them being on, period. If somebody's got their power outage, I really don't care. Turn it on. I would never want my neighbor to stay without power because,
All right,
it's a little...
I don't really want to cut anybody off, but we do have a closed session meeting, and we should really have this discussion when we have a full council, because Paul's not here and Ed's not here, and they'd have some input.
I'd like to just quickly add to that question of where it's placed. I think that's extremely important because I have relatives in town that put in a generator and then put bushes around it to protect it. The first time they used it, they set their bushes on fire because the heat being put off by the exhaust. Now, there was nobody adjacent to that, but I think that is a concern where we put it and how much space it needs, because we certainly don't want to create work for our fire department.
I think they may have some concerns. Well, obviously, I think this may need a little bit more discussion. I would like to see it, not get dragged out too long, because a lot of people are going to start purchasing them as we get wet weather and inclement weather.
Okay, just put it on for the next meeting.
And I'll talk to Ed and see what his thoughts are, and see if we have some ideas on it.
All right, then, we don't really have any council reports tonight. We'll wait until we have a full council. I don't have any particular separate report to give. We have the River Edge Swim Club request for restriping. What?
Yeah.
Oh, Clean Communities Grant. That was a question by Kathleen Murphy as to the, was it a
$15,000 and change.
$15,000 grant?
Yes, Mayor, I can
Go ahead.
report on it. This is a grant that we've received for better than 20 years now. The estimated distribution for 2012 is $15,952.30. We haven't received it yet. Typically, the Department of Public Works works up a budget for the council to review. We put it on a consent agenda. The Department of Public Works typically asks for things like money for sweeper maintenance for the sweeper. There are brooms that go on to that. There are other side brooms that go into that the DPW uses. The trash liners for our trash cans. Sometimes we have replacement trash cans that are purchased out of Clean Communities. We do provide support to the Environmental Protection Commission when they do their river cleanup. We'll provide gloves and other paraphernalia related to that. So those are just some of the examples that DPW uses, with regard to this grant. These things are not in the budget. They're anticipated to be spent out of the Clean Communities. If there are other requests, we ask that those requests come in, and then we consider them for a future round so we could budget accordingly. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them.
How much is usually allocated to the Environmental Commission?
It's several $100s. In addition, the EPC also goes out and they get mini grants from the county. Currently, they have $700 sitting in our grant fund that they can use for, any projects related to litter cleanup. So DPW would still provide support out of Clean Communities in addition to the $700 that they currently have available to them from these mini grants.
Okay. Kathleen, that's your information. Most of the money goes to the DPW.
Because I know there's certain parameters that you have to use the money toward.
Mhm.
It was like marking the sewers for not to like dump stuff into it. There was like a list of,
Well, if I may, those are stormwater regulations, so that's another set of regulations that we have. Something like this could support those types of activities as long as it's related to litter and litter cleanup.
yeah, 'cause that's,
You're
I
absolutely
did read
correct.
that, yeah.
All right, now we get to River Edge Swim Club restriping. Where are we on that now?
Mayor, I wrote a letter to the swim club manager to see whether they were requesting an entire restriping of the lot. That doesn't seem to be the case. He didn't give me a lot of information, though, with regard to this. I'm coming back to the council again. There is a lease agreement in place where we lease to the swim club a certain amount of parking spaces. I don't know if you have a decision on this or if there's additional questions or information that I can get for you to make this. If it's a matter of blacking out a couple of spaces and just making those, I don't see why that would be beyond our capability to do something like that. Certainly if it's an entire parking lot restriping, that's a different matter. But just to create a few more spaces, I think that's something we could accomplish.
Alan, how
in-house.
many spots do they, what in their lease are we leasing to them?
Well, it's the, I'll show this to Sam, this is the exhibit out of the lease
So
agreement.
is this the last lease I prepared?
Yes, it is.
What year was it?
2000 and,
That'd be around 2001. I did it in
maybe about
2001.
10, 15 years ago. It's a
Yeah.
25-year lease.
I'd have to look at it, I'll give me a copy, maybe it'd be better for me to review it if you like, if you feel it's a major issue here.
I mean, there's already one or two spots there, right?
Yeah, there are, and I think they need 4.
How much does it cost to do it?
Time and materials, it's going to be labor for an hour or two, I would estimate.
Is that something we should charge to them?
We've always treated them in a very nominal manner. The lease agreement is basically for $1, and then there's another lease for $500. So we've never,
The parking lot
charged for that.
is not allocated exclusively to the swim club, right?
They leave some spots from the town.
No, but I mean, those spots are used for parents that go to watch ball games, right? The same spots.
Off-season, especially off-season.
They're not reserved, or are they reserved, those spots?
They have some reserved in the front for the management.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can look at the lease if you want, I'll look at it. I don't know if we ever addressed striping, but I could take a look at it.
All right, anything else on that issue?
Alan,
Sam's
can I
gonna
see
take a
that?
look at it. All right, any unfinished business?
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Johnny?
Oh, boy. I did have something. This past month, I was at the Historic Commission meeting, and they had, I believe, sent you a letter, Alan, about the bus stops, or they were going to, and that the bus stops are okay with them, they have no issues with it, so I was just wondering if that's going along, if we're going to be replacing those anytime soon, where we're at with it, or we can maybe get a report next time, if you don't have that info.
Alan?
I can report on that. Today, we received an email from, on that particular issue. They've reviewed the information. They will begin to pursue county approval. They're going to need county approval on this, so They have to go through that step. They do have to do a state historic review, but having our commission's endorsement will certainly assist in that, so they have to go through that step. They are submitting their information for construction specifications at this time. And the question came to us as to the demolition of the existing bus shelters. They indicated they would want Public Works to demolish them at least 2 weeks out. I sent that to John Lynch today, asking him whether that schedule works for him or whether he feels there'll be a need to demolish them sooner than the 2 weeks, so that this way he's not rushed and he can manage his resources accordingly. They've asked that the wood structures be taken down as well as some of the round foundations. So I have to wait to hear back from John as to what the demolition schedule will be. There'll be contracts, maintenance contracts, which will have to go to the borough attorney for review, and we'll have to reach an agreement with them on that. Those are standard contracts, which we've signed in the past, so I wouldn't expect anything too different. So there's a process we're going through, and we are working on it daily, and in fact, we got more information today on it.
Okay.
All right,
Business?
new business.
If we could, I'd like for Alan and administration to look into the workspace email site that we're currently using. I've shared with Alan and Judy that I do not have the capacity to email back to the offices of the BA or assistant clerk or assistant clerk, and we also have a limited amount of space, so that once that space is full, it blocks emails from coming in. It doesn't automatically delete. I think in an age where Yahoo has unlimited space and automatically deletes and so many other things, we need to look into that. But we really do have I have a problem communicating back to the town. And I mentioned this about 2 weeks ago, and I'm hoping that we might be able to get some movement on either rectifying this problem or switching our email server so that we
just have to increase. It's going to be probably a couple $100 to increase to a different plan. I did increase yours a little bit, whatever we had left, but it may not still be enough.
It's not showing. It's actually showing the same maximum of, I think, 20 megabytes.
Yeah, I think it was
Changed?
15. I think it was 15 before.
Okay.
But it's not a lot. I mean, it's
But it
definitely
won't,
not a lot.
it won't let me reply all. I
Okay.
used it today.
We'll
Couldn't reply
we
to
should probably
Alan.
just go to
Couldn't do
unlimited
it.
and pay the couple $100 and whatever it is.
But if we could troubleshoot the problem without replying, that would also be a concern of mine.
Kathleen?
Yeah, this is in regards to the email as well. I did send a few emails to Johnny and to Denise. I'd like to meet with the company that installed that, plus go over how the borough website works, but I haven't heard a response back. I don't know if you're still on the technology committee, if
Yeah, I
you're,
haven't.
if that's just me now.
No, I got the email. I just haven't been able to respond. I've been busy. But as far as the company, we're going to have to pay for them to come in. So if you have questions, just email the questions and maybe we can get it off to them. But
Well, I'd rather just meet with them since you're not going to be here,
there's nothing to meet about. I mean, as far as...
about operating this equipment, and there was also a question about using it for planning board meetings and zoning meetings,
But
which
Denise
we've
was...
never had answered.
Denise was trained by the company. If we call them back for training, we're going to be calling them back for the same training that Denise got.
So Denise
and
can
paying-
train me?
Yes. Yes, she can train you, but you shouldn't be the one doing things for the different departments, in my opinion. If everybody else disagrees...
Well, I haven't said that I was going to.
No.
Just asking for knowledge.
You can learn it. I'm just saying, I'm just making a statement. If you want to learn how to do it, Denise can train you on the different steps. I can send you the steps, that's not a problem. But nobody that sits on the council should do those things, just in the sense that these different committees that are going to meet and use this should be self-sustaining. They should be able to do it themselves, because we may not be here one week or another. And the last thing I think that should happen is they should have somebody, two things that should happen. First of all, they should have the capacity to do that every time they meet, because the last thing we want is for them to put up meetings sometimes and not others. They should have a backup to it. So if they could designate those people for those different groups, then we can give them a login to the computer. They shouldn't be using Denise's login.
Well, for the moment, right now, I mean, you know about it, and she knows about it, and nobody else.
No, Denise knows about it. Denise was here. Judy's was here the other week. She did it.
Her first time.
Judy,
Right.
yeah. I mean, we just started this. I mean, people are gonna learn it. It's not me that's learning it. I'm making sure that Denise is trained. Never did I sit here and learn it. I wasn't in the training.
It seems
I
like
made
a lot
sure...
has to go through you before we get any
That's
knowledge.
not true at all. And
No.
nothing went through me.
What
I
about
don't
the
know where
borough website?
What about it? I priced it out, I got the information, who sat in on the meetings? Denise and Alan. The only thing I did was facilitate the meeting and come to a different provider and make sure the information was right. I didn't get information, Denise has all the login information, I don't have anything.
So when Tom has a problem, you said you increased it for him.
I did increase it because I was able to. We can go back, I will go back with Alan and we will get a different plan. That's part of what we do, but I don't own anything, I don't do those things, so we're not in that business, I'm not trying to do it. You know, I did it to try to help him, but it's not something that we should be doing. I want to increase to a different plan so that it doesn't happen, that's why I'm suggesting an unlimited plan. You know, these are not things, we're not the IT support. There's been times when Denise has had a problem and I'll try to help her to save her money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she can't call anybody else. I don't have the law.
We don't know who.
All right,
We do have somebody who
Johnny.
supports the environment.
This is, you guys are the two on the technology subcommittee, you should have a meeting, you should do it, get this all worked out in your subcommittee meeting, we have other business to attend to, so let's move on, please. All right, we have to, Alan.
I'm sorry, Mayor. One old business item, Councilman Mignon asked me if the mayor and council would consider a motion to authorize the clerk to go out to bid for the public safety building generator. He's recommending a base bid for both buildings the 275 level with an alternate for 175 for the public safety building. If the council approves that tonight, we would have a resolution passed authorizing the clerk to go out to bid on the 21st, and he would make sure that the professional has the bid documents ready for the 21st.
I'll make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Have a second. Let's have a roll call.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Porco?
Yes.
Councilman Bottomoli?
Yes.
And Councilman Cavanero?
Yes.
All right, good. So
Thank you.
We can have a formal resolution, and then we can go out to bid. All right, can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain, any opposed? All right, the meeting is open to the public. We're going to open to the public again after we start our 8 o'clock meeting. We're opening to the public now so that we can hear of any important issues you would like to discuss before we go into closed session to discuss contract negotiation. Anybody who wishes to be heard, a member of the public. Mr. Chillier, right?
Yes. All right, so Paolo Cilia, 65 Fifth Avenue.
Right.
I'm just wondering if the mayor and the council would consider using some of the citizens, their knowledge and their help as volunteers. For example, I heard something about technology and how you have some demands. There actually may be residents in town that are very knowledgeable and could help you with that. And I haven't really seen that kind of appeal go out to ask for help and assist in different tasks. I think the planning volunteers we use them as crossing guards.
That's a very good suggestion and a comment. We have citizens who work alongside the council on the budget already. I think we have citizens who, are there citizens on the sewer subcommittee or the traffic and safety committee?
Traffic and safety, yes. And the sewer subcommittee, many years ago, we had citizens serving on that. It's something we'd like to look into in the future.
But if there's we have a committee for technology, for the borough's website, and for email, and for, other technology we have for our security system. If you're interested in participating in that committee, I'm sure that we would be more than willing to
Sure, and I can help with that with technology. I know it very well.
get your expertise.
And then I'll just make a suggestion. I know some towns, what they've done is, this is great, that we have our meetings on YouTube, but it doesn't really allow response from the residents, those who can't make the meeting. And it would be great, I know some towns are doing it, they have live sessions on the local channel. So Verizon could free up one of the local channels, they could have this meeting live. And if you want to go one step beyond that, maybe through a mechanism, whether it's Twitter or something else, you could actually receive questions from your residents especially those who can't make it, who are disabled, who are older, who are traveling, who also want to be involved. So I would put that proposal together for the town to consider as well.
Thank you, thank you. Can I have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll be back after 8 o'clock for our regular scheduled meeting, but now I would like a motion to close.
I would like the resolutions on regular meetings. That's what I tried to tell you.
Resolutions on the regular...
Because you couldn't pre-close because you asked me to do it after the fact, we didn't have a meeting.
Yes, the resolution being closed.
Oh, that's right.
It's flying through, we have to wait till 8. We have to wait till 8 o'clock.
When are we going to have the motion to go into closed?
It's part of the public meeting. It's a
Part of the
resolution.
public meeting?
Yes. So we'll have to get through the public meeting.
All right, John, we have to wait until 8 to hear from you. You already told them? I know, it's my mistake, John. I had you on for the 7 o'clock meeting. All right.
Break.
Let's take a 10-minute break.
Hasn't happened in months. Don't get used to it.
I know, I'm not going to.